안녕하세요, 여러분.
안녕하세요.
Since we've both been to Korea and we experienced a lot of crazy things over there,
Yeah.
so I thought we can just share our experiences. Talk about also like culture shock or like culture differences.
문화 차이, I'm familiar. Yeah. I was in Jeonju. Was the best thing ever. Jeonju represent. I will never live anywhere else in Korea. No, I could be warmed up to Gwangju, I think.
Gwangju is nice.
I just love the area. I feel like Korea is best when you're there a longer time because then you can start more part of the everyday life. The moment I felt I was at home when I walked near like Jeonbuk-dae back gate somewhere, there was a kimbap place and it was only older ajumas working there. And I walked in and she was like, oh, king salad kimbap, 맞지? And I was like, yes, oh my god, what? And she recognized me, so that was the best thing ever. That was, yeah.
Same for me in Gwangju. They were like, you again? I was like,
You paid their bills. You paid the electricity bill.
happy to be back. You experience a lot, right? And what is the first thing that comes to mind that like really shocked you? Like culture shock, where you were like,
Culture shock in Korea came way later. I wasn't really that shocked. I expected there to be differences. I feel like I started to actually see 문화 차이 when I was in my exchange year for a longer time, and I would have like interactions with people and I would be like, this was kind of weird, but why was it? Oh, because I'm German and I do things differently. And it cannot be denied that we have different thoughts. In Germany, it's rude to not say what you think. It would be lying, basically. Korean thing that they like, I met this new person and then we said something like, 꼭 다음에 보자. 우리 같이 저녁 먹자. You just say it to be polite. And for me, as a German, I'm expecting you to be genuine. You really want to go out to dinner. Will immediately say something like, oh, I'm free next Tuesday. Do you want to go then? Like, if I told you German, I would be like, hey, have dinner again soon. What would you say? You would say something like, oh yeah, there's this place I want to check out, or oh yeah, I'm free next weekend. But if you just say, and leave, I would assume you hate me. I don't know.
I learned that the hard way when like Sue wasn't there. And at that time I didn't really have friends, so I tried to make friends in like our 동아리, right? And there were like one girl and like we hang out once and then she was like, oh yeah, let's hang out again, and I was actually really happy because I thought, oh, maybe I can be friends with her. And then like I texted her again after she didn't text me again, and she always had excuses. I think like she had 3 excuses. And she was like very cold, and I was like, and I didn't understand. I always thought they wanted to be my friend.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be friends. So yeah. I was like, why? What did I do wrong?
Do you want to open it?
I really want to try.
Should we?
Oh, doesn't smell bad. It smells kind of like Milky's.
Is yogurt?
Yeah. Doesn't
Oh, it smells good. It smells great. Smells like Milkis, yeah. You're all 선배님s to me. Oh, I can do that too.
근데 선배님이 맞지 생각해보면
오,
카리나 대학원생이잖아.
이거 뭐야?
Even though you're older than me, I'm still your 선배.
Right.
Let's treat this.
카리나 꼰대네.
나? I can't.
Oh.
It's really good.
This is actually really good.
와 맛있다. 응? 독일 와서 나 소주 처음 먹어보는 것 같은데?
너무 비싸서.
셀리 너가 2병이나 갖다 줬잖아.
나 부자자. 어떤 슈가맘이 필요하시면 연락해 주세요.
필요해.
카리나?
But for me, it's 반말 and 존댓말. Like, I was working in a restaurant, and basically my boss, she was like talking 반말 with me. But obviously I had to talk like 존댓말 to her, right? Because it's like just the way it is. But I hate that. For me, it feels like she's talking down to me, like I'm a child and I don't know what I'm doing. Because basically in Germany, of course when you're a child and you go to school, you use 존댓말 for your teacher. But as soon as you're an adult, both use 존댓말 or both use 반말. And I know it's not the case, but I always felt like that and I hated it so much.
Because that's the way it is in German. We just have 2 forms. So either you're comfy or you're not comfy. I had this issue too. The first friend I made in Korea she was a lot older than me. And she was like the boss of a piercing shop. And we talked a lot, but I didn't know how to address her. And I addressed her like formally. Then I realized that everybody who came to the store called her Onni. And I didn't do that. I called her Sajangin. But then I didn't know in what form to speak with her. Imnida is way too formal, and I felt like Panma wasn't appropriate, so I just stuck to like you. But it felt so weird every time, and I never knew how to like talk to her directly as well.
So you were not happy with manager talk to you 반말, but you talk to manager 존댓말.
Yeah,
So
it
my
should be.
question was in Germany, like restaurant, like that situation. So either they speak only 존댓말 each other or 반말 each
I
other.
think so.
Yeah.
If you're an adult, yeah.
I mean, even in university, it's also both 존댓말.
Most
Yeah.
of the times, I feel
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
So unless you're a child, it's usually both ways the same. Even though I know in Korea it's different, it was still hard for me to understand.
Like I have friends that are 40 plus. It doesn't matter. We talk to each other the same way. I make the same jokes and everything. Oh, that's also drinking culture is such a thing. Like and work culture. I would love to work in Korea, but like I don't like having to do things out of peer pressure. Because like when I hang out with my coworkers outside of work, that means we're friends. We don't like have obligatory meetings like 회식, something like that. We don't have it. I've met some Korean friends that were new at the company, and then they would always have to go out drinking with the older coworkers and everything, even if they didn't want to. Like one time we were out, then he got a call from his manager, and his manager was drunk and told him to come and pick him up. And he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I never personally experienced that, but I saw it through Suho. Like, 회식 was like, wow. Like, seriously. It happened many times that because the thing is, when he gets super drunk, which he always was,
Bad stories, yes.
then he always falls asleep.
Oh, and then you had to pick him up?
No, because I mean, I also didn't have car or anything, so. But like in Korea, there's this like service where you call someone and that person drives your car for you.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like one time that happened, and I knew the Suho was already downstairs in the garage because like you can like when the car enters the garage, you get a notification. And I was just waiting for Suho, but it was like half an hour and he still wasn't there. And suddenly like Suho's mom like knocked on my door. She was like, I think Suho fell asleep. I will go down and check on him. And then she came up and Suho was like,
I love that she just knew. She knew.
But also one time he fell asleep in the shower. It was 40 minutes, the water was still running. Oh, like luckily he left the lock open, so I could be like, Suho, what the fuck?
I remember.
Do you?
So like through him I saw that a lot and I was always like, why don't you just drink less?
Yeah.
Say no?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like if your German boss was like, here, drink more, everybody else at the table would be like, sir, you're being creepy. Yeah, but that's just the German way of work, is I go to work, and as long as I'm there, I am unfortunately, like, under this manager person. But ding dong, it's time to go home, and do not contact me until Monday morning, 9 a.m. And if you call me on the weekend, I will sue you.
When I went to go to Korea, I wanted to be like very prepared. So I read everything I could. But seeing it actually happening in front of me was like, wow.
I'm experiencing culture right now.
I'm not gonna lie. Except for the boss call you pick them up, except for that part. But actually there are a lot of people like about 회식 culture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you work so much as well, it's good to be close with the people around you. Or why do they like it?
They feel like they have such a bonding with their seniors, like 선배들. They feel like they can learn even though after work. Yeah, but these days actually for a lot of company, if your boss force you to drink, you can actually say no. But in Korea, the culture,
Yeah.
it's very hard to say no to that.
I feel like the good thing about like having 회식 and everything, if you're new to a company, it's easy to meet the others and get talking. But for someone working in a German office, it can be so hard. Because Germans love separating private life and work life.
I actually think even for me, like if there would be like Korean studies meeting, or we just like get to know the other person, I actually, in my position right now, I would appreciate that.
I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but honestly, that makes me one of the few in my friend group here in Germany. Especially this place is so full of people. In Jeonju, we had one vegan restaurant, I think. I've never been, but I had a vegan friend there, and she went there once a week. And all the other times, she would just eat white rice, some pickled veggies from the dining hall. It's always meat, you know?
Because Suho loves meat, so he wants meat for every meal. And I get it. It's really good if you make that.
Yeah.
But I don't need to have it every time.
I feel like eating meat more than once a day is too much for me. I've never in my life eaten so much chicken. And not even just fried chicken, also dakgalbi.
Oh, dakgalbi.
Dakgalbi.
Heaven. 맛있어.
That's a huge thing.
In Korea, it's really hard to find a meal without meat. And like, especially if you're strict vegetarian. But let's say like my sister, she's like super strict. There is a way to survive in Korea, but it's definitely very hard.
And I would recommend Seoul.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even though you might, as a German think, for example, Jeonju is a big city, they will just be like, no, this is a Chungso-toshi. I was excited because I was like, oh wow, I'm going to the city that is as big as the biggest city in my county.
I mean, Koreans even say Gwangju is countryside. And what is my hometown?
Field. Just like a farm. Yeah.
I mean, for me, Gwangju is like super big city.
Same.
You know, because in Germany, we only have 3 cities that are above 1 million.
We love social distancing.
A lot of Asian countries want to copy how the Deutschland spreads.
Yeah.
But we cannot just do it because it's actually from very beginning in the history, in the way back, they were small kingdoms.
Everyone wanted their own.
You really know your history on Germany. I like that.
Like, even as a foreigner, obviously, if you don't speak Korean fluently, you need to go to Seoul. Like, very special education, maybe. You can find something in like Busan or Gwangju.
Yeah.
Even when I was looking for like part-time job, like Gwangju, there's no. But like when you look in Seoul, there's a lot more options. Obviously, it's not good options. So I also understand why Koreans want to go to Seoul.
I found it so sad because I was so happy in Jeonju. I was always like, oh, I love this place. This is great. You will find a restaurant for it. There's arcades. There's this, I don't know. That's a lot for me. But then my friends would always say stuff like, oh, actually this university isn't that good and the city is not that interesting. There's so much more to do in Seoul. And I'm like, what do you do? I have so many opportunities to do things here already.
Honestly, right now, I'm like very drawn to like big cities.
I like middle-sized cities. Chungso-toshi.
세 개를 비벼라, 전주.
And for me in Jeonju, I would always go to the same Yankochi restaurant because it's the best one. And then she would be like, oh, you're back. It's so nice to see you again. How are studies going? And blah, blah, blah. Because I'm from a smaller town, that's what feels like home to me. Is being in a neighborhood where people would notice. That's kind of like how I feel about it, but I get why people would want to go to big places.
So, are you embarrassed?
A little bit by you too.
Good. Like Germany and Korea, we have a lot of things in common. Taking the shoes off inside, love it.
And the other one, small talk. I heard a lot of people saying that Koreans and also Germans are very rude and because they don't do small talk. But actually that's what I love. I don't like small talk. I just imagine at the post Cheonggyejeong.
I think there's more. We just
Yeah.
오늘 어땠어?
근데 천대말 어떠셨어요?
저에게 너무 재미있었습니다. 초대해 주셔서 감사합니다.
아니에요. 아닙니다.
다음에 봐요.
저기? 다음에 봅시다.
다음에 봅시다.
Yeah, today we talked about 문화 차이.
It was really fun. So thank you very much.
It's always fun to talk about that because you can see a different point of view. Maybe next time we have more than one guest. We would love to have you back. I mean, there's a lot of things I still want to talk about. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
그러면 지금 카메라 끄고 우리 다 마시자.